Alright, so welcome back. In today's lesson, we're going to show you how you can make your own samples to use with any sampler. It's going to be a pretty simple process, but I do want to show you a couple of the really cool features once you actually load it into the sampler. But to start, we need to have a sound to sample. And the sound I just have this drinking glass right here, so I'm just going to hit it with a marker. It's going to sound like this. And that's what I'm going to sample today. So let's go about doing that. First thing I need to do is actually record that sound. So I'm going to make an audio track. So right click, add audio track. Right now I only have one microphone set up, so I'm going to set mono and say add. I've got my audio track, and I should be coming in from the right place. Should be okay. I have to remember how I routed this because I'm routing this to also record these tutorial videos. So my studio routing is a little weird right now, but I think it all works. We'll find out soon enough as soon as I hit record, I guess. And that's what we're going to do. Hit the star or the asterisk on the number pad. And it sure looks like we're recording. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to tap this glass a few times. I want to get a low velocity sample, a medium velocity sample, and then a loud velocity sample. And I think you'll be able to hear what that means or translates to just here in about 2 seconds. Here's our low velocity sample. Oh dude, it was actually really loud. I need to, it appears that while I'm doing this I need to turn down the gain on the microphone because I played that glass really quietly and it picked up really, really well. So I'm going to be a little bit quieter here. Let's try this again. Alright, I think that was pretty good. Let me set my gain back up here. I think that'll be a good level. Hopefully that's about where it was before. Looks like it's a little quiet. I'll turn it up another 1 or 2 clicks here. Alright, so let's go back and listen to our 3 samples. There's my quiet glass. And not a huge difference, but you can tell that I actually ricocheted the glass a little bit here in the beginning. You can hear that double spike. I hit it twice. You can actually see that right there. But pretty close. Just a tiny, tiny little ricochet. I'm actually going to turn off my grid. You can use the quick key J for that. And I'm just going to cut up these samples and make sure you give them enough time to die down. So there's a sample. I can use this little square at the bottom to really refine my cuts. So I want it just to start right when the sample starts. And let's cut this one. Delete. And again, I'm just dragging up on the timeline to zoom out. If you don't know that trick, learn it. We'll delete all that. Highlight all 3 of them. We'll add a fade out to all 3 of them just by dragging that upper triangle. Not bad. Let's take all of them, and I'm actually going to make them all louder by dragging up on the square, just so that this bottom one is kind of right near the peak maximum loudness. So there's our quiet one, there's our loud one. Okay, and now I'm going to highlight each one. I'm going to hit P. It'll set the locators, this little blue area, to whatever I've just highlighted. I'm going to say File, Export, Audio Mixdown. And we've got to give these a name. So I'm gonna use musical terminology here. I'm gonna say glass P for piano. Piano means quiet in Italian. And we don't need to re-import this. And just go export it. And I guess I didn't have to close that window, but so I highlight over here, hit P, go back to that file export, audio mixdown. So this is my mezzo forte. And one more time, highlight, export. You might say this is tedious and boring, but suck it up, because we're going to make the best, glass instrument in the world. Well, no, but we'll try. All right, so I have my samples. What I've just done is I've taken each of these audio waveforms, and I've just exported them so they're their own file. I could go to Windows and play them back in Windows Media Player or iTunes. It doesn't matter. They're their own files. I don't need Cubase to play them at this point, which also means I can load them into Contact. So I'm going to go back to my Contact instrument here. I'm going to flip this channel 1 for now. and open it up. And instead of going to my libraries, I'm going to go to my files, and I'm going to go find my lesson file. So right down here you can see that I have my glass P, glass MF, and glass F, or piano, mezzo forte, and forte for medium loud and loud. And I'm just going to click and drag this over, and you can actually see if I open this up, if I go to the mapping editor, you can see just one giant yellow square. And if you watched the last video when we were looking at like the Alicia Keys piano, it had, you know, hundreds of little squares. This is just one. That's because any note I play on the piano is actually going to trigger this sample, this one sample. So there it is. So if I'm playing my keyboard right now, I think you can hear that. Maybe I'll turn this is the quiet one again, so I'll turn it up a little bit. And here's the really cool thing about samplers. Notice what happens if I play a different note. Alright, so I just took that one glass sample, and the sampler is playing it back at whatever speed, or the equivalent speed of whatever note I'm playing, to raise the pitch or lower the pitch. I'm going to take this glass, I'm going to lower this whole box just like this. And now you'll notice, whenever I play a loud note, you see this little red dot here? It may or may not be showing up in the YouTube, I'm not sure. There's a little red dot that sort of bounces up and down, and you can't hear anything, even though I'm playing the note. And again, that's just because it's only going to trigger back this piano glass sample whenever I play a note within this range, within this velocity. Up and down is velocity. And you can see this little meter going up and down showing me the range. So right now I have to play at velocity 40 or less. In other words, play my key very lightly in order to hear that sound. Now we can take the mezzo forte, I can drag that into the same window, and I can spread it out, and maybe we'll have it cover from velocity 41 to the maximum 127. So now when I play a note quietly, you can still hear this sample, but when I play a note loud, it changes in timbre a little bit, doesn't it? It gets a little bit fuller, a little bit louder. It sounds like I'm actually hitting the glass louder. It's very realistic in that sense. All right, I think you can see where this is going. I'm going to take this down. I'm going to load in the forte glass. And I want you to be very wary of when you load samples in, that the root pitch, in other words, the sample that you want it to play, just the original recording, is where you think it is. In other words, if I put this over here on C5, let's actually just do C4, so I don't have to reach. You can see that, well, let's make this a little bit up there. So when I play a quiet sample, it's at a higher pitch. When I play really loud, it goes down. And that's because the root pitch on these low ones is around C3. I need to make sure my root pitch, if I'm going to do it this way, is all the same for all the samples. And that way, it'll sound seamless. So let's spread that out. And let's listen to this. So when I play loud, I'm triggering back the loud sample. When I play medium, the medium sample. When I play quiet, it's playing the quiet sample. So it's very realistic, right? You can feel like it's really dynamic, right? I can hit that glass at any velocity I want to. But if you're really astute listening, you can hear that there's like a break, right? It gets, you know, there's all these quiet samples here. As soon as I get a little bit louder, the sound all of a sudden jumps to the next sample. It's not, in other words, it's not entirely smooth. I have 127, well now I have 127 possible MIDI values, and really I only have 3 different samples. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a way I could blend these samples, so no matter what velocity I played, there was a glass that sounded like it was being hit exactly that hard, rather than just 3 different levels of hardness? Wouldn't it sound nice if I had, you know, 127 or 128 different levels of hardness? I think so. And Kontakt makes this pretty easy. All I have to do is overlap some of these samples, like so. And we'll overlap these two. And actually, in doing so, it makes it hard to select this middle one. But that's all right, we'll figure it out. So now you can see that they're all a little bit overlapped. And now I'm going to draw a box that touches all 3 of them. And I'm going to right click, say Batch Tools, and Auto Apply Velocity Crossfades. And now you can see if I separate them, you can see how it's actually faded in at the top. And same thing for this one, right? It's faded in at the bottom. And also, you know, the middle one's also faded around its edges. And now what's going to happen is when I play a note, and I get into any of these faded zones, it's actually just going to sound like it's continuously fading louder and quieter, right? It's not just triggering 3 different samples. It's actually blending all 3 of these samples to create this illusion. Let's actually illustrate this. Let's rewind here. I'm just going to draw a simple little MIDI part here. And let's just have it play 16th notes fast enough. We could probably do 30 seconds. And let's just, let's put it on a root pitch, which is C3. I'm going to highlight this and just duplicate this just a million times. Here, duplicate. And I'm just going to use my, we'll use my line tool under the paintbrush. And I'm just going to have it draw some velocities. So I missed a few at the beginning. That's all right. I also kind of missed a few at the top. That's all right. So we'll just go pencil these in, make them really quiet. Okay, so what you can see here is it's actually just going to play the same note over and over and over again, but just getting louder, and then quieter. Let's first listen to it with the oh, what just happened here? What did I do? Oh, it appears that when I was duplicating, I duplicated more than just the Cubase notes. Oh, delete. Here, let's actually just delete all those. Okay. You gotta watch. Be careful if you know too many quick keys. Sometimes they'll trigger multiple things if you have multiple software running. I guess is the moral of the story. But anyway, listen. You can hear that it was a really smooth transition from quiet to loud, I think, right? You can hear actually those overtones come in. It was really nice right around here where you heard that really just high, just fade in as we faded into the loud one. Really nice and effective. Let's remove those crossfades and see what it sounds like if we don't overlap it and we don't use that crossfade. So it's just going to go play back 3 different samples. I think you'll be as convinced that it's not quite as realistic sounding. You hear how that wasn't smooth at all? Whenever this red dot got up to here, it would switch to a new sample or back down again and switch back to the medium sample. So again, these crossfades are really powerful. It's a really powerful way to create a seamless, really realistic, almost 3-dimensional instrument. You just want to reach out and touch it. And you can do this with almost any sound that you can record for yourself. You can make your own instruments just like that. And get this is, I hope, something that you feel like empowers you to really go and make truly fresh, original music and not just use the in-the-box kind of sounds. Just using this technique right here really opens up a whole new world of sonic possibilities. All right, come back and we'll talk about some other samplers and things you can do with them in the next video.